About 6 months ago, I deleted TikTok off my phone only to get addicted to Instagram Reels, which is arguably worse. But you know, in between all the bad and the shocking and the fighting in the comment sections, there's of course some good to be found on this platform. There's a lot of really wonderful recipe creators over there. A lot of cool videos focused on hacks and food trends. And so today we'll look at 7 of those ideas. Those are videos that have been sitting in my recipe saved folder for way too long. I'm gonna possibly tweak them where I can, and maybe put my own little spin on some of these ideas as well. But everyone I'm referencing is going to be linked down below. We've got a good mix of sweet and savory, lazy and experimental. And I think you should try at least one of the following. Support today comes from Squarespace. This first recipe, I would say, is mandatory to try at least once in your life. It's my take on the Mapo tofu trend. Definitely not a current trend, but I've been meaning to try it for months, and I'm so happy I did, finally. Crumble up a block of extra firm tofu, you know, one that you don't have to press. I like the one from Edeka. Add cornstarch, salt, and garlic powder, and mix it up well. Next, bring a large non-stick skillet with a bit of vegetable oil to medium-high heat. Add the crumbles, and allow them to cook until golden brown for about 7 minutes. In the meantime, blend everything together for the tofu sauce. This is a double tofu recipe. Simply blend up a block of silken tofu, some miso paste, a pinch of salt, a little bit of vinegar or lemon juice, and now I'm also adding a bit of coconut milk. Just to give a hint of coconut flavor, you can substitute this with water or another milk. Back to the crumbles. Add the following: some spicy chili paste. I'm using this one here called toban djan, but in a pinch you could also go for something like gochujang paste or even harissa, depending on what you have on hand. Next, add in coconut milk, soy sauce, and a little bit of chili crisp oil. This is definitely a bit more on the spicier side, but once you eat this together with the noodles and the silken tofu sauce, it balances everything out really nicely. I'm cooking the noodles according to the packaging for like 3-4 minutes. And then I'm mixing in the creamy sauce. And now finally, onto assembling. It goes creamy noodles, tofu crumbles, spring onion, sesame seeds, and perhaps some more chili crisp oil. This is the perfect meal to make for people who are maybe a bit skeptical when it comes to plant-based meals, because this is so insanely savory. It doesn't taste vegan whatsoever. It's crazy. Wow. Now, when it comes to my personal food Instagram feed, most of the videos I see and most of the videos I've saved are definitely Asian cuisine or Asian cuisine inspired. For instance, these Korean rice cake skewers. The texture and flavor of these is absolutely insane. First, I'm carefully defrosting my Korean rice cakes. I'm just putting them in some warm water for just about 3 to 4 minutes. While that's doing its thing, I'm preparing the spicy sauce, which I slightly adapted from the video with what I had on hand. So I'm mixing together gochujang paste, ketchup, maple syrup, white wine vinegar, soy sauce, and garlic powder instead of fresh because I was just lazy. Now carefully drain the rice cakes and give them a bit of a rinse under cold water before patting them dry with paper towels. Don't place them on the paper towels like I did here, because I realized too late that the rice cakes like to stick to the paper towels for some reason. It's okay, you can still remove the paper towel if that happens, but it's better to just lightly pat them dry and be quick with it. Now I'm putting together my skewers. I started off with only 3, and then I got a bit more confident and ended up doing 4 to 5. Now to a large Dutch oven, I'm adding 2 cups of frying oil, which is more than enough to deep fry these. First, turn the heat up to medium-high and check to see the temperature rise until 170 to 180 degrees Celsius. Now turn down the heat a bit to keep this at that temperature. 2 at the same time I felt like was the most I could manage, and I did about 2 minutes per side. Definitely be careful when moving these around. These won't really become golden brown, instead they'll just puff up and get a really lovely crispy outer layer. After frying, get rid of the excess oil by putting them on some paper towels again, or in my case, it was just some parchment paper. Cover them in a thin layer of sugar. And now on top of the sugar, you're going to brush the gochujang sauce. I can't stress enough just how delicious these are. Some of them I also kept plain. Make sure to eat these fresh. After a while they will become quite hard, and then you would have to re-steam and potentially re-fry them to get them to be crunchy on the outside and gooey on the inside again. So yeah, it's best to eat them right away, which I don't think is hard. Next is this salad here, using cucumber and chicken and like a really delicious looking creamy dressing. Now to make the dressing, mix together the following: crunchy natural peanut butter, rice vinegar, lime juice, soy sauce, sesame oil, crispy chili oil, maple syrup. I did a bit less here than what was suggested in the recipe, and I also decided to add a splash of hot water just to help it mix easier. Next, I'm rinsing a can of chickpeas. And then I'm transferring those to my food processor to just quickly pulse them for like 5 seconds so they get a bit of texture. Next, cut the cucumber. Now looking back, I feel like I should have cut the cucumber into smaller pieces. I feel like the size was a bit awkward to eat. Bring everything together, the chickpeas, the cucumber, and the dressing. Mix it all up. Hide everything under some toppings to make this look presentable. And maybe serve with some lemonade. Why not? I haven't made peanut dressing in so long, and sometimes you forget the basics. Moving on to this very cozy, brothy rice bowl situation, inspired by Salt Sensitive. This recipe looked so insanely simple, I had to give it a try. First of all, grab a medium-sized casserole dish and make sure that your oven is preheating to 190 degrees Celsius. Next, grab some tofu. The reel seems to be using softer tofu, but not quite silken, like something between soft and medium firmness. Next, I'm adding 1 head of bok choy. Then some of these white mushrooms I got from the Asian supermarket, and some broth. Now the original idea uses chicken broth, and so I'm going to be using vegetable here. However, to ensure that this doesn't taste super plain, I'm also adding the flavor packets from a serving of instant noodles. You could even do double the amount here. Now I'm transferring the broth to the vegetables, along with some soy sauce. Cover this with aluminum foil. And now the reel says to put this into the oven for an hour. I personally think 30 to 40 minutes is more than enough time. Yeah. I made some rice in the meantime as well, so that's what I'm serving this with. I feel like you still need some extra things here to spice it up. So definitely some crispy chili oil, which is recommended in the original recipe. And then I would also add spring onions, sesame seeds, and some fresh lemon or lime juice. I wanted to quickly chime in and say hello. I forgot a crucial step to this recipe, which is the sesame oil, soy, garlic sauce that you add right before eating. I did not do that. That's why this all felt, although still delicious, a bit plain to me. It's because I forgot this step. So, my bad. Very comforting, very soothing, and I like the fact that there's hardly any cooking involved. Now, this wouldn't be a proper viral recipes type video if I didn't include some sort of Dalgona variation. It's like an iced Dalgona date latte. It's so good. I also put my own little spin on it. That spin being adding salt, which makes more of a difference than you might think. First, I am pitting, if that's a word, my Dalgona dates and covering them in hot water and then allowing them to soak for about 5 to 10 minutes. In the meantime, I'm setting up my blender. Then I'm draining the dates and blending them together with some oat milk and a generous pinch of salt. Blend until completely smooth. This took around 2 minutes for me, 2.5 maybe. Next, you need equal parts of instant coffee granules, sugar, and hot water. And then you just whip that up like you would whipped cream. Be patient. Like if you think you're done, do another 1 to 2 minutes. And now on to assembling. I did a bit too much milk here. The milk on its own is delicious. Finish everything off with a couple tablespoons of the whipped coffee. If you have leftovers, you can keep the rest in the fridge for the next day. Feel free to decorate this with a random date or maybe some sesame seeds. It's so good. I was surprised by how delicious this is. I genuinely thought going into this was gonna taste just like sweetened Dalgona, but the dates really add such a lovely flavor to it, especially like with the salt together. And it also must be because I use these Dalgona dates from the Turkish Arab supermarket, and they come with the pits, which just makes me think that these taste better than like the already pitted ones. So yeah, this was amazing. We're keeping it sweet for this next recipe. These chocolate Nutella rolls I simply had to attempt. I found this person's food blog and basically adapted their recipe to make them vegan and give them my own little tweak. Inside a small to medium saucepan, heat up the non-dairy milk, the sugar, and the vanilla. Take this off the heat before it starts boiling and make sure this rests until it's cooled down to lukewarm temperature. In the meantime, melt the plant-based butter. Now once the milk mix reaches around 40 degrees Celsius, add the dry active yeast and allow it to sit on top of the milk for 5 to 10 minutes. Meanwhile, you can go ahead and measure out the remaining ingredients. Now once the yeast mix has become a little bubbly, you add all the remaining ingredients except for the Nutella. So the flour, the unsweetened cacao powder, salt, unsweetened applesauce, the melted butter from earlier, and that's it. Mix everything with a wooden spoon until it comes together somewhat. And then transfer this to a lightly floured surface. Pro tip: knead everything with slightly buttered or oiled hands. That just makes things easier, for about 5 minutes or until the dough is no longer sticky. Overall, it should be really nice and easy to work with. Allow the dough to rest for about an hour inside a lightly greased bowl, someplace warm. Now at this point, the dough should be doubled in size. Roll it out into a large rectangle, ideally on top of a cutting board, because you're gonna cut into it in a bit. And it also makes sense to have the cutting board be lightly floured, so nothing sticks. Now the filling is simply going to be store-bought, plant-based Nutella. My personal favorite is Bionella. I did about 6 tablespoons, and spreading this with a knife was much easier than using a spoon for some reason. Now roll this up from the shorter side, like so. And then cut this into 6 somewhat equally sized pieces. And transfer them to a little baking dish that's lined with parchment paper. Final step, brush everything with some oat cream or oat milk and let everything rest and proof for another final 20 to 30 minutes. In the meantime, you can start preheating the oven to 180 degrees Celsius and then allow these guys to bake for around 25 minutes. Now, just like it's served in the video, I'm also spreading everything with extra Nutella on top. And since the buns were still really hot, everything melted really nicely and easily. And then for some extra decoration, I also added some sugar pearls. I would recommend you serve these warm. These are so nice and fluffy, and I think that's also due to the cacao that's inside the batter. For some reason, they taste so incredibly nostalgic. My friend says these taste like the inside of a brioche bun dipped in Nutella, which that's essentially what these are. Last but not least, we have another date-focused recipe. Well, this is more of a dessert hack. It's these chocolate-covered date hearts. First, you melt some chocolate using your preferred chocolate melting method. Mine's the oven. In the meantime, you can start prepping the date hearts. Here, I would recommend using pre-pitted dates, actually. And you simply cut them diagonally, like so, and then reattach them using an almond. You basically stick it into one half and then add the other half, so it's kind of heart-shaped. Pinch the bottom together a little bit, but if it still feels like it's falling apart, that's okay, because you're gonna cover this in the melted chocolate eventually, and that's gonna act as glue. I let these guys rest on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper, which is something you can do, but if you want a nicer, more professional looking shape, maybe go for one of these drip down grids. This way they would look a lot more like actual hearts. If anything, I feel like mine look more like realistic human hearts. But yeah, this is a really cute like little gift idea. I don't think I would make these for myself on a random day, but it's a cute gift nonetheless. But that is the end of the video, which means my time to self-promote other things. No, really, it's just I've been putting things on my Vinted. If you want to check that out, there's lots of cute stuff on there, but that's going to be linked down below. I think they connected Germany to a lot of other countries, at least in Europe for now. If you're unsure of which recipe to recreate first, I would suggest the rice cake skewers. I am still dreaming about those, and I have to make them again as soon as possible. This video is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform to help you grow and establish your brand and business online. Start by browsing their wide selection of beautiful website templates or create your own from scratch if you prefer. Squarespace offers SEO tools in order for you to show up more often in people's search engines, helping you grow your audience and bring in new customers. You can do fundraisers on Squarespace as well by using their donation tools. You can generate passive income by offering content behind a paywall and create your own new logo within Squarespace as well. If you need any extra help, they've got their 24/7 award-winning customer service at the ready. Start today. Go to squarespace.com/MinaRome or use code MinaRome to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Check them out.